how's it like being at home? Does it feel weird for you, or is it not much different from how it usually is?
It's funny. I was just talking to Jake because I know you interviewed Jake
Yeah.
some weeks back, and me and Jake are very similar, and Misha too. Like we're all such homebodies. Like we all stay home so much when we're not touring. We play video games. We like to work on our music, and we're very simple creatures in that way. So I think in that respect, quarantine is really affecting us on this big dramatic level. Obviously, financially, it sucks for the band because
Hmm.
we had to cancel a summer tour and some
Hmm.
potentially some plans in the fall.
Hmm.
But in terms of like the daily ins and outs of our lives, at least in my life, I mean, I don't really leave the house a ton, anyways. So I'm here. It's a nice excuse to be productive, and for instance, I've used this time to sort of work on my recording rig
Hmm.
uh, at home and buy some new things for my little setup here and
Hmm.
work on new music. So I'm trying to make the best out of a not ideal situation.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way around it, isn't it? Like, there's no other choice but to like find the best way around the
Yeah.
situation. You
What
know?
else are you gonna do? I mean, I mean, thankfully, and I'm very grateful that I'm still able to basically be productive during this time, whereas I know most of society is kind of, handcuffed when it comes to being able to do their jobs and propel their careers during this time. So for that, I am thankful for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's not the worst situation to be in. In fact, it's kind of like the better side of the package. I mean, most of us are getting the better part of the package. A lot of people are actually getting it worse, and it's
Yeah.
a bit sad to see. But that's why we do what we can to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
We
and
all
I
got.
think yeah, and I think like this is like just a perfect time to like do interviews and stuff because I mean on any other day I might not actually be able to catch Mark Holcomb, so so like this may actually be like a good thing for some, and I'm sure a lot of your fans would appreciate you taking the time out to chat as well. Obviously because there are some topics that we're going to cover. That would interest your fans. And let's say it's similar to Jake's case, the questions were actually crafted for him. In your case, these questions are very specific for you as well. So the way these chats go is I try to make it more artist specific. So
Mhm.
then, people get to know you on a personal level in terms of your music playing, your approach to music and things like that, and not just like what guitar do you use, why do you use the seven string, and those sort of questions. Not that they're bad questions, but then those are questions that people would generally have access to the answers. So
Yeah,
so the purpose of this interview is kind of like pick your brain a little bit deeper, if you allow. Yeah.
totally
So,
happy, man. Totally happy to.
oh, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
yeah, so shall we begin then?
Of course. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, let's do it. So, as a icebreaker, we've got a fan question so a fan of yours by the name of Steve Forler. So his question to you is, how did you come about finding your writing style on the guitar? For example, Pale Aura. I mean, it's such a good song. I mean, 6 years, like past half a decade, it's still such a good song to listen
Oh.
to. So yeah, how did you come about finding your writing style on the guitar?
Well, first of all, that's very kind. I'm glad he thinks that I have a style. In my mind, like I don't know. I don't really think of myself as having a style. I just kind of do what comes naturally. Like I don't have a big like I don't have a theory background at all.
Hmm.
I kind of just chase my ear, and I know that's what my bandmates in Periphery do as well. Um, but I imagine that he's talking about a lot of the bigger sort of chords that I use, and uh, and that practice just came out of drop tunings. Like I mean, I don't know if you can hear. I think I'm in tune. I hope that I'm in tune. But like I play in a lot of drop tunings, right?
Uh-huh.
And instead of playing a power chord with my, with my first finger.
Mm-hmm.
I just started doing it with my thumb
Mm-hmm.
because I have large fingers, and I fret the power chord with my thumb, and then I have 4 extra voicings here available. So that kind of like got me playing this whole, this chord-centric style, and I think that's still very prevalent in what I write these days. And I think my style has changed a little bit over the years, but that's I don't think that's ever going to leave. I love using my thumb, and for that reason, I always gravitate to bigger, more complex chords as opposed to just simple power chords in my writing. But yeah, it's been an evolution. I told this story before, but like in the mid 2000s, I almost quit guitar because I felt like I was just copying other people all the time. Like I felt like everything that I was writing and everything that I was playing just kind of sounded like the music that I liked. It didn't sound like me. It didn't sound very original. And I just started to mess with things that I thought sounded fun and started to emulate other people less and just chased my own enjoyment out of the instrument. And I liked big, bright chords, and I loved metal. And I have a big love for thrash metal, using my like sort of galloping right hand style. And yeah, I just combined those things, and that ended up becoming, I suppose, what this guy's calling my style. So yeah, I just sort of chased what I liked about the instrument, and I still kind of follow to that. Like I still follow that way of thinking.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. So rule of thumb, have like really long fingers if you want to play like Mark.
Yeah, and if you don't, there are doctors in the world who can take from your shin and implant it to your fingers. Surgery costs several $1,000s. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure to play like you, it might be worth it. So I think we have to be a bit careful because I'm worried that some guys just gotta do it, and then like have this really long finger that covers like 6 strings from the top.
I do want to say though, I think it's a little bit of a myth. Like when people say, "Oh gosh, like he's so good, it must be the large fingers." It's not. Like I don't know if you saw Jake's hands, but Jake does not have that big hands, but he can fret basically any chord that I can.
Really?
And it's all about wrist positioning, because I noticed like when he's doing these crazy chords, he's just angling his wrist differently. He's pushing his wrist a little bit out, but he can play everything that I can play, and he has smaller hands than me. So I think it's just there's a little bit of give and take. If your hands are not as big and you want to do these crazy like spider chords, it's just all about adjusting your wrist to leave you in a better position for it. I think that's a little overplayed. People are like, "Oh, I don't have large fingers, I can't play this music." I think it's wrong.
Oh, that's actually a very good point. I mean, it's like if there's a will, there's a way. You kind of adjust your angles or your guitar to kind of get the sound you want, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, of course, there is a certain logic behind not having like longer fingers. I mean, obviously that would kind of give you an advantage in the sense that you don't have to bend or angle that much, but it's definitely not impossible to, like fret, like someone who has long fingers. I think it's definitely possible. So then speaking of that, then does that give you any sort of preference when it comes to writing on a 7 string or your 8 or your 6? Because obviously with the 6 string, it's much easier to fret it the way you just said. But then with the 7, it might get a little tricky. And obviously with the 8, it's almost impossible for a lot of people. So does that make the 6 string your weapon of choice in terms of writing?
Yeah, just because I've played it the longest. I started playing guitar in 1995, and that was what I learned on. I never even picked up a 7 string until 2006. So that's 11 years I played the 6 and nothing else. So I think just from time spent alone with the instrument, yeah, and it's still the thing I go and pick up first. Granted, lately I've been getting into this, and right now I'm writing a lot of music at home, and I don't know what it's gonna be for. Periphery, Haunted Shores, I have no idea. But lately I've been messing with this tuning. So it's a 6, right? But I take the 6 string.
That sounds like a G or something.
It's a G. It's a G, exactly. So it's an 8 string note, you know, like on a standard 8 string note is F sharp, and this is only a half step above that 8 string note. So again, I love like a low, pissed off, just, you know, negative sound, but I love the feel of a 6 string. And, you know, we wrote the song Reptile off Periphery 4 in that tuning. And all the stuff, like, so I've written a bunch of stuff over the past 2 months, and most of it is in that tuning. I really love the tuning. It's really fun. I know the band Sixth. If you know them, they have that tuning as well.
Oh, really? I'll definitely check them out as well. Oh, that's very interesting. So, but then doesn't that give you like a string gauge issue? Because obviously, I think on your 6 string, yours is a 25.5. So often you get like, you know, tension issues and the note going out of tune as soon as you hit it. I mean, unless you have like really thick strings, but then when you have really thick strings, you can't really go higher in terms of tuning because like it might snap your neck. It's not so good for the guitar. So how do you approach? Do you tune it slightly flat so then it doesn't go out of tune, or how do you approach doing that?
It's a good question. It's tricky. You have to find like a happy medium. I forget, like, because for all last year of touring, I had to use a string gauge. I think it was like, man, I normally do 11 to 56, but I think I had to use like a 62 or something like that. I forget the exact gauge on the low string. But lately, so I still had tuning issues, like what you're saying. When you hit the string, it'll jump, it'll jump sharp, you know. And when you have 3 guitar players trying to all match one another, it doesn't sound very good when it all jumps all over the place. So I got tired of tuning issues. I want to show you a new toy that I actually haven't shown anybody yet.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So this is just going to be my Reptile guitar when we go back to playing live. Whenever
oh, nice.
So yeah, it's got an Evertune on there. And yeah, this is the only guitar I have the Evertune on, and it's simply just to play Reptile live. So yeah.
That's a tough song to play, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, to tune that low, you got to think of you know, string gauge, string tension, just how it sounds. Because before, like, I've used really thick gauges on my low strings, and it just doesn't sound as good, in my opinion. You know, it just sounds kind of like boxy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is what this guitar's for, you know, just that drop G tuning, play it for one song, and then switch back to my normal bridges. It's a really cool piece of technology. I love how stable the guitar is. I don't think it sounds quite as good as the bridge that I have in my other guitars, but it gets the job done for what I need it for.
Yeah. I guess it's a different tool altogether with the Evertune, isn't it? Like you get that stability there, but then at the same time you get like this huge chunk of wood excavating out from your guitar body, so you kind of lose a lot of the wood there, which, you know, obviously Paul constantly, you know, bangs on the point that the wood's important and things like that, and when you do that with the Evertune, obviously a big chunk of that is gone. But then live shows, it makes a lot of sense, because for the audience, I don't think anyone would be able to hear the difference in terms of tone when it comes to, you know, a guitar with an Evertune or without. But when it comes to tuning, people can actually pick that up, whether the guitars are in tune or not. I mean, I'm talking about live, so it makes a lot of sense to have the Evertune on your guitar. It's a brilliant piece of technology, actually. So yeah, like funny story about Reptile that I was telling Jake. I learned that song because like I had this idea in mind. I was like, maybe if I learn Reptile, I would be able to write songs like Mark does. I spent like 3 months learning that song, tracked it, recorded
Oh
the
wow.
video and everything. It was a pain. It was really really a pain. And then after that, I was like, yes, I finally did it. And then I tried writing a song. It sounded nothing like Periphery. So I was like, oh damn, what went wrong there? And then after that, I was like, then I decided to just tune my guitar back to the standard tuning, because when I tuned my guitar to the Reptile tuning, couldn't play anything else because it had a Floyd. And in fact, I got the Dusty Waring for PRS.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
It is not too ideal for drop tuning, so because it is actually shorter in terms of scale length, but
Right.
it's a beautiful thing. And in fact, I got it because of you. Like when I saw you release like the Reptile playthrough, I was like, I have to have like a PRS, you know. But then,
Oh,
so yeah,
oh,
so marketing wise, that kind of works for PRS.
well, I'm glad to hear that, man.
But yeah, but so yeah, I still fail to. Yeah, so the plan to write like you didn't work after 3 months of hard work.
But that's cool because like so many times I'll hear a piece of music by somebody like like lately. Okay, here's an example. There's an Icelandic pianist composer named Olafur Arnalds who I'm in
Hmm.
love. I love his music, but it's very different than what I would be able to ever do in my life. You know, it's piano, orchestral, electronic, this amalgamation of all that stuff, and it's all that I listen to lately. It's like I'll be in the kitchen and I'll just put on one of his albums and I'll listen to it, and then I'll be at the computer, I'll be working, typing an email, I'll put that on, and then like I'll try and write something that it's influenced by him because I'll say to myself like I can do this, I can write something on guitar that sounds like him, and then I'll write and it sounds nothing like him, but that's like it still sounds cool, like I wrote something the other day that I tried to sound like him and it didn't sound like him, but it was my own. But I think that's kind of the beauty of trying to emulate other people is if it goes correctly, you're not going to sound like that person, you're going to sound like you, and I think that's the best possible
Oh,
result. Sounds like you.
yeah, that's actually quite a good point there, and it often develops into like, I mean, when you try to sound like someone, it's either you successfully photocopy whatever that person's doing. If not, you would kind of stray and do something of your own, and then it becomes like something of your own. Though it can get a bit frustrating sometimes because they're like, I'm not supposed to go in this direction. I wanted to go in the other direction, but I ended up in a different place. But yeah, it is beneficial in a way, you know. So, um, so when it comes to songwriting, I mean,